sale.
We're not for sale.
Yay.
Never
Welcome
will
to this
be.
week's episode / therapy session. It's your boy MK, MK105, and I finally found my name, y'all.
Kizzle.
You ready for this one?
Let's hear it.
MK, aka Grady Graybeard.
Grady Graybeard?
Oh no,
Grady Graybeard.
I think we should go
Stand for this son, dog. Come on.
that ain't
Nah, I
it.
think you come
That's
harder
all.
than that one.
stay out. Let's leave that one out.
Yeah, that's
That
out.
one ain't
Sorry.
in.
All right, so that didn't
But you
work
could be
out.
M. Kizzle for the night.
Pretty excited about that.
I like that one. I've been working on that one.
Jamers. M. Kizzle.
Grady Graybeard.
Nah.
All right, well, that ain't working. But to my right, the extraordinaire, he got 1,000 names and they all fresh.
Oh man, they all fresh. They all blessed. You know, God bless a child with incredible style. Jay Wesley. You know, not Snipes. I'm embracing my light skin, as you already know what it is.
Oh.
It's brought so many beautiful women my way in my lifetime,
Golden Child.
and the one to my right as well. You dig? And give him that whistle.
Hey, it's the one and only. It's me, RJ Lewis. I'm here. I'm in the building. It's a pleasure to be with you, brothers. Missed y'all, brothers, this week, man. So many things went on. Excited about the show. And to my right, the Lincoln lawyer, the one and only Jai Person Lynn.
You know, Jai Person Lynn, a.k.a. Jet Proportion Laboratory, you know, taking off on all you weekend. No, I'm just playing. Now we here just on some abolitionist get down, trying to free the people. And I'm here with my brother from another mother and who our fathers was getting a doctorate together, my homeboy C-Note.
Hey, C-Note, a.k.a. Hollywood. How y'all doing out there? It's good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling real good, man, to be amongst my brothers. And to my right, I got my brother who's going to live 200 years plus. 300 years.
100.
Okay. Healthy lifestyle. Listen up.
Yeah. Shout out to Plants and J Estrada Fitness. Peace, love, and health. And man, you guys are in for another great treat, another great show. Thank you to all the listeners that's been.
That's right.
Really
We appreciate y'all.
supporting us all throughout the way. And I'm gonna keep the ball going. Pass it to my right, to my brother. Too sick.
Too sick to great. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, period. I don't have a whole long-winded speech.
Yeah.
You know, I can't be smooth as West, but I'm going to do my best.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
I see that.
See, some shit just comes natural.
Great beard.
You know, I ain't got nothing
Right.
calculated. You know? Ain't nothing scripted.
You know what's funny, Jason? I thought about you the other day because there's now like plant-based washing detergent for your clothes. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, that's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Now.
But so what does that? So is my detergent bad? Well, I gotta have plant-based detergent.
Yes.
All right.
A lot of times you can have detergent
Chemicals.
that might have a lot of chemicals, a lot of chemicals that can make you allergic, have a lot of allergens in it. And many people don't know where their allergies, arrive from. So
Right.
you definitely want to be in tune with what you're using to, clean your clothes, because if it's commercialized, if it's something that, obviously you've been using for a long time, you may not know why your skin or the inside of your body may have a certain reaction to it. Something you should look into. For sure.
And not just your clothes, but your dishes, what you put your food into. You have plant-based dishwashing liquid, and that's what I've been off of this last couple of years. And, I feel great.
Have you noticed, what's the difference that you noticed with the liquid detergent?
Well, when you're washing your dishes, it's actually more smoother, so the soap just falls like right off. Like when you have the actual one chemicals, it actually is a little thicker, and it's kind of like you got to keep scrubbing, and it's bubbling and bubbling. But the other one is
You niggas should
it's
do a
less suds.
commercial.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if
I
you
will
want your
say,
dishes
I will
clean-
say
no
to
rehearsal.
top that off, whatever you putting on your body, the skin is the biggest organ of the body. So obviously that goes all the way down to your shampoo, your toothpaste, your lotion, anything that you putting on, you know.
Jason, is that do-rag organic?
Hey, I will say this.
Definitely some pork in
Is
there.
Is it vegan?
Pork fat.
Vegan do-rag.
I will say this. It definitely laid my hair down.
Hey.
But the curls are natural, though.
Where did those precious metals come from?
Yeah.
From the earth.
Show me that tree.
Hey.
Show me the golden bush, nigga.
Wes Strada, keep that mic close to you, man. Tell the people where they can find us on social media.
Oh, yeah. You know where you can find us on Twitter and IG at We Knot For Cell. That's WEKNOTFORCELL.
Yeah, you can see especially that funky polar bear sweater my man was wearing a few weeks ago.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Too Sick Jamers. Oh,
Too
my
sick
God.
to great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was
Too
kind
sick,
of
the
lovely.
greatest
I have no
sweatshirt.
idea how many young ladies rubbed on me.
Customized AC built in that sweater.
So tonight's topic, we're going to get into it in a minute, so I want to let the people know. We really going to play off of Jemele Hill's article, and I think it's special because we got athletes in the room and we got a bunch of brothers who went to a HBCU. So we want to talk about the article, Is It Time for Black Athletes to Leave Predominantly White Schools? We're going to get to that. But first, what I want to get to is who's excited to see the Joker movie?
I actually am excited to see the Joker movie. Hollywood talking. I've always been a fan of the Joker, the villain, in Batman. I thought Heath Ledger did a phenomenal job, and I'm curious. What's my man's name? Who's going to be?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm hearing standing ovations and a lot of critics pretty much praise this film. So I'm very curious to see what it looks like.
I mean, that's the thing about that movie. Even so Jack Nicholson played the Joker, and I think he told everybody that you really get into that character, to the point, like Heath Ledger when he was playing the Joker. I mean, a lot of people say that's kind of how he really went off the deep end, and I hear Joaquin does a great job too. But the biggest thing, and Ray brought this to our attention, is how the FBI and our military are actually issuing warnings to people to be on the lookout for mass shootings, obviously because of the shooting in Colorado for the original Batman movie. I can't remember which one it was. Was it The Dark Knight? Where the mass shooter came in dressed as the Joker.
Joker costume, yeah.
And what did the FBI say, right?
Basically, the FBI and the Army issued a warning to law enforcement that was leaked out to the media, and it basically said that they expect violence at theaters based upon extremist posts on social media, which is kind of wild to me. This is the first time ever in theatric history that the FBI and obviously the military have got involved in anything regards to something that was released in entertainment. So obviously, they're expecting some kind of backlash or extremist activity based upon this movie, which leads me to question you brothers on if this movie should be released at all.
And the only other time I recall the FBI getting involved with entertainment was when they sent that letter to NWA. And that just made me want to listen to NWA more.
Right.
And now that I'm hearing, when I saw the Army was putting out notifications about the movie, that really made me want to see. Because I'm like, y'all got a lot of stuff overseas to be dealing with. And now y'all putting out warnings related to movies. I got to see this movie. That's what I thought.
But I think Ray said something real interesting. He said leaked. So we don't know what they've done as far as being up on movies. I mean, Jamer said it earlier, when you go back to, I remember the first movie that I went to that I was like, oh shit, which was Colors. I don't know if that's 87, 88, but I wonder back then if the FBI actually got involved.
Well, not even then. Just recently, when the NWA movie came out, it was police at the theater. I know when I actually watched it in another state, and they had police there, waiting for people to come out of the theater, and there was no bad outcome from the movie, but I think they just kind of went back to the whole 90s feel, and when it used to be like that, when you know, we all grew up around those times where people, where going to the movies could sometimes be a shootout afterwards.
But it goes to that whole thing, which we always discuss a lot here on this show, is maybe the FBI didn't give a fuck back then because we all know who the targets of those crimes were.
Right.
And that's the type of stuff we like to think about here on this show.
Powerful.
But now, because we're talking about other people getting injured and other people getting hurt, now the FBI is involved, right?
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, I think in today's climate with how many mass shootings there are, I mean, it is, I see what they're doing to put caution on a movie like this. But if it came down to release or not, I say release it. You know, I think you should be able to release your art, and how people react from it shouldn't necessarily, you know, determine if it should be like released or not. I mean, it's on the responsibility of the individual to pretty much, you know, take accountability when seeing something.
It's almost one of them things where, like, as we sit around at this table all the time and we think about in that room when they're making the decision to do a movie or not do a movie or whatever it is, who's at the table? Who thought like, oh, this is a great movie? Should they have been sensitive to what happened in Colorado? Have we gotten too sensitive in the society that we're living in today? Because now we're talking about mass shootings, homegrown terrorism. I mean, I'm scared to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I think we have to think about, one movie I do know that was banned, for lack of a better term, was The Spook Who Sat by the Door. And it wasn't, you know, it was a unique type of thing where it was released. It was an independent movie. It was released. And then shortly after its release, it got pulled from movie theaters. And it had a lot to do because we all know the power of the image of movies. It's probably the most powerful medium as far as what influences people in everyday society. And that movie was obviously about a first black CIA agent leaving the agency, taking his training, organizing black people in Chicago and fighting back. So that's obviously not what the government would have wanted at the time. And thinking about the Joker always being anti-government, always being an outsider, we don't know what this is and if he's going to be a full bad guy or if he's going to be like a Killmonger where people kind of identify with his point of views. And so that's what makes me think is going to happen in the movie. Otherwise, why would the Army, I'm not as surprised by the FBI, but the Army, why would the Army get involved with it? That's what makes me think.
Well, I will take a different spin on it. Before I left to come here, my son said, "Dad, watch out for the monsters." And I was like, EJ, monsters aren't real.
Did he do it in that voice?
Yeah, he said, "Dad, watch out for the monsters."
We love EJ.
And so with him, I said, you know, monsters aren't real. Like, there's no such thing as monsters. And as I'm thinking about it, you know, for him to already know what monsters are, right? The entire the persona of a monster sticks out in his head. So a child can either choose to be the monster or the hero, right? And so for a lot of boys, a lot of young boys, they want to be like the monster. You know, it's fun for them to be the monster. And how this all relates is to it seems like the programming starts really young, you know, in terms of the movies, making sure that they put in this program, the subconscious programming into kids at a really young age to be afraid of monsters, things that don't actually exist. And then we then grow up with this phobia of, okay, the dark or the Joker are like these monster-like characters that actually don't really exist. So I don't know how much of it is, it's almost like kind of like them playing a joke on us too. It's like, okay, should we be afraid? No, not really, because these things don't exist. However, there are individuals that do grow up and want to get the attention of the monster or the adversary in the movie. And so I think that from a subconscious perspective, there are individuals that wake up every day and say, okay, let me see how I can be a monster in someone's life. And so I took the metaphor from what my son was saying. I'm like, wow, you know what? There actually are monsters, you know, and there actually are people who intentionally want to make sure that they're trying to seek harm on you, intentional, you know, and those types of individuals do exist. And depending on what type of situation you may put yourself in, it might feel like, you know, you're about to experience something bad. And typically, whatever you think becomes a thing. So it ends up being real to you. So how many people are going to the movies thinking like something's going to happen could actually make something happen?
I think what you're saying, man, is very true, Jason, and it leads me to gather the understanding of demonic spirits and the whole idea of things that can influence you, and that's pretty much what you're talking about. The Word of God says that the devil is
that took
going around like a roaring lion looking to whom he can devour. And
say that again.
No, I'm not. But at the end of the day, you listeners should pay attention to things like this, because those monsters,
Pastor RJ,
you know, they 100% do exist, and most of the time they're not in the rare form that comes in a colorful book, but they're in people's minds. And some of those people are your neighbors, and some of those people are your associates, friends, and family. And it can be tough to observe those things, you know, and we have to be mindful that everybody, including ourselves, can be influenced, and we have to be careful what we allow to influence us.
Yeah, that's absolutely true and correct. I believe that, you know, we have to be very conscious of protecting our aura, you know, our body, and what we feed into our, you know, our mind, body, and spirit.
Facts.
Because, you know, what Jason said is true, and that's coming from his children. So that is something to be sensitive about. Right. Because you have your kid, and I always hear my nephew EJ say, plant versus zombies. The plants kill the zombies, you know, and it's like injected.
Wait, you say plant?
Yeah, plants. Yeah, you know, Jason got him on these plants versus
plant superheroes.
Yeah, there's plant superheroes, but yeah, that's what nephew on. But
super veggies.
Yeah, but that's what nephew on. And I look back to when I was a kid. I always used to have a bad dream about this big black gorilla coming into my house and shooting up everybody, and I didn't know why, like that shit was happening. But I know that I was watching every movie out, you know, that was like real animated and it had all these, you know, like Ray said, you know, is poison and it's negativity in all these movies. But I don't think that's actually something we should be sensitive about as protecting when it comes to watching the art. As Chris said, you know, I think they should put it out. I think you should never, you know, tell an artist they shouldn't put out what they have created. I think it always comes back to mental health and mental illness, because the people that have been diagnosed with that are the ones that's doing these mass shootings. That's what it comes down to. Nothing comes from the art. It's always going to be art that's going to influence you, but you have to protect your aura and be responsible as a human being, a father, a parent, an uncle, or whatever you are, and, you know, take control of your environment.
I will say that, not to say that people can't put out art, but I'm always mindful about people who are selling their art to you.
Right.
And I think that there's a difference, because when someone's selling their art to you, they're also saying that, hey, I want you to be so convinced to buy what I'm selling you that you may not actually see the little messages that I'm putting here, the little ingredients that I put inside of this art to actually program your subconscious. So now you're under my hypnosis. I'm always just mindful of those things versus someone saying, hey, here's my art. This is something that I want you to check out if you want, but it's at no cost. And I think that that's what we got to be mindful of, especially when it comes to our kids.
I personally think they got it wrong, because, listen, if you want to look out for mass shooters and things of that nature, then send out your note when the fucking Fast and Furious movies are going on, because that's when you're going to have the most people going to see movies and shit like that. So but that's a whole nother thing. Real quick, before we move on, Jaye, could you do something for me? And I didn't even prep you for this, but you're an intelligent brother and you can handle it. Impeachment. And I know we don't get into politics on this show, but it's just on my mind to explain to the people that impeachment does not mean this motherfucker is out of here.
No, and because Bill Clinton was impeached,
Correct.
we have to remember that that's a function of Congress to actually remove him. Then you need the Senate, and I don't think in any. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the percentage of the Senate is. I know it's at minimum a majority, right? But more than likely for presidents, we might be talking 2/3. So I don't think in any way, that many senators would vote. I believe there is a Republican majority in the Senate currently.
Right.
But I do want to warn people, everybody that's saying give up your AR-15s is trying to kick out the president that's saying keep your AR-15. And if that comes, if they say, all right, you got to go, and he says, no, I'm staying, what are you going to kick him out with?
So here's the thing for our normal listeners. It took 20 minutes for Jai to mention guns, 15 minutes for Ray to mention God.
Hey, Jesus Christ on mine.
We're off to a good start right now. we started off talking plants. I just got that shit out because I knew it was going to come up at some point during the show. But Ray, let's talk sports, bro.
Hey.
Boxing is back.
Hey, man. Errol, Spence, Shawn, Porter, what's happening?
I watched that all 36 minutes, and it was like maybe in about 3 minutes of the fight, it wasn't punches being thrown. They went at it, stood toe to toe, and Porter looked a little better after the fight, but he took some. He took a lot, but he gave enough to win one of the judges on one of the judges' scorecards. But it was one of those edge of your seat, like, yo, is this for real? They can't keep this up, but they did.
And see, I missed it. I love boxing, but I can't tell you what the fuck I was doing Saturday night. But I love boxing, and I was like, I want to check that fight out, but it just slipped off the radar for me.
Jamers was at home, stuck at the house, man, and he was calling me every round to get an update. and
was it pay-per-view?
It was definitely pay-per-view. Okay. Fox, PBC pay-per-view, and young kid, man, definitely got to keep your eyes on David Benavidez, the new WBC middleweight, super middleweight champion as well. He
beat Money Team.
Oh man, from the Money Team as well. I mean, he beat a stellar somebody I've been watching for a while. I think we're around the same age, Anthony Durrell, and I felt like he was, getting a little old, but he's a wise, rugged veteran. And the young fella who actually lost his belt previously, it got it back. So yeah, man, it was some great.
I got a question for you, Ray.
Sure.
Do you think boxing will ever be as popular as it once was?
I think boxing is more popular than ever.
I didn't really know it was going on. Maybe y'all just been off the grid or something, but
it's more. I think it's more.
The Joker movie either, so we can't go by you, bro.
I think it's bigger.
Off the grid.
I think it's bigger than ever. I think in between. I mean, really, let me tell you something. All divisions right now. Anthony Joshua is about to fight Ruiz. You got. Errol Spence is killing in the welterweight division. Middleweights is really cracking. I mean, Caleb Plant probably about to fight Benavidez. Errol Spence is probably about to fight Danny Garcia. I mean, you have Pacquiao. Who knows who he's going to fight, but whoever he picks.
Hey, man, you sound like Max Kellerman over here.
I know. Hey, boxing is my thing. Anybody knows me knows that I love boxing. I love to see a couple men in there locking horns, man, and somebody come out victorious, especially when it's straps on the line.
But see, the thing and the way that you can tell boxing is back, just insight from the business, is whenever there's network deals, whenever boxing's on network TV or whatever's on network, that's what they're pushing. And I know that was at the PBC, I think Fox did a deal with them. And, I know other networks do, Friday Night Boxing. So it's definitely making a push. I don't know. Maybe they brought the prices down a little bit so that it can actually go on TV. But I love boxing, man. So we got to get back to it.
But to get it back, I mean, I think that question is like, will the NBA be as popping as it was when Jordan was in it, right? Because there's no figure like a Ali that had those epic battles in the 60s and 70s, so we're not there. And, Americans aren't popping or haven't been popping in the heavyweight division until recently.
Right.
We took like 20 years off of being good in the heavyweight division, which is still the main draw in all of boxing. No matter how great these little guys are, shout out to the little guys. We still love seeing the heavyweights.
100% disagree with that. 100%. I mean, this is coming from a little guy. Jai
said that
person
like
Lynn.
he was a big guy.
Yeah, Jai said that like he was a heavyweight when he's nothing but a lightweight.
Oh man, I know he probably been looking at that stat about
Hey, the
Dennis,
best
how
pound
Dennis
for
Rodman grew a
pound
foot.
boxers right now.
Still hope for you, Jai.
I mean,
It's a lot of them out there, Raymond. It's much different than back in like the 90s where we may only have one fighter. It may have been Tyson. Or,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was just
Sugar
it.
Ray
You
Leonard.
just
Sugar
waited
Ray.
to watch it.
I don't know nothing
But
about
for the
that.
most part, you waited to watch a Tyson fight.
yeah, you want to see the heavyweight.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's about 20 different niggas out there that you just dying to see.
They can
now.
go. Yeah.
They can go.
Well, I think part of like why this fight flew under our radar. Does everyone know the boxers that just fought? Like, you guys familiar with Shawn Porter and
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Spence?
definitely those
Okay.
names.
What about Josh? Josh, you?
No, I'm not.
Jason?
Wait.
You don't watch boxing.
No.
But we've actually watched
Yeah,
boxing
we watched
matches.
a lot of boxing.
You know, we watched a lot of boxing, but you know, but I follow Shawn Porter, but I didn't necessarily know the other cat.
Yeah.
You know, in too much. You know
Errol
what I mean?
Spence
So-
is probably one of the top 3 fighters in the world with Canelo and, of course, Terrence Crawford. Those are all little guys. Even this huge fight between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz, to me, is not as significant as Deontay Wilder, who everybody wanted to fight Joshua
Anthony Joshua.
until he
You
got
definitely
beat.
heard of Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, so I mean, the heavyweights, they have a huge draw, but these little guys, like I said, specifically, you know, we're talking about the same weight class as Floyd Mayweather. So Manny Pacquiao is still very significant, and he is an unbelievable draw. And I mean, his last fight sold out Cowboy Stadium.
I want to talk about that real quick. Do you think he was on the roids? Like, watching him fight like that, there's no way he would have tested clean if he would have got drug tested the way he fought.
You know,
like that.
You're using a lot of pronouns. Who is he? Who we talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry, Manny Pacquiao.
Okay,
Yeah, I
it was
mean,
Pacquiao.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao.
There are some things, man, that come with boxing that I think very few people can understand with age. Everybody has to slow down at some time.
Right.
And this last fight versus Keith Thurman for
Oh, my
the 2
God.
straps, I've never seen someone his age come in looking better than he's looked in his
Ever.
entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, he was amazing. So Manny Pacquiao is an amazing fighter, one of my favorites. But I mean, the things that I saw him in that fight do, it leads me to believe that he's doing some kind of new regimen.
He juiced.
Jason, he's doing something.
Did you see the fight, Jay?
No, I didn't.
Oh, man. I mean, Manny,
But shout out to all the Filipinos in the world.
why? We're talking about Manny Pacquiao.
Because my wife is Filipino.
Filipino, and his wife is half Filipino.
Yeah, he's Filipino, Jay.
Yeah, man.
And he's black.
I see that. But I
We,
do.
well, we all are.
Beautiful.
And
I
that's,
will
Filipinos
say,
in the world.
Manny, I believed he
you
was on
tapped
the
into your third
roids
eye there.
back. I don't know if he's on the roids
Shouting
now,
out people
but when
in another
Mayweather
country,
said,
from
"Hey,
America."
y'all want to talk about Barry Bonds hitting all these home runs at the end of his career. Now Manny Pacquiao at the end of his career knocking everybody out. It's a reasonable question for me to ask about these roids.
Right.
And then, you know, when Manny Pacquiao finally agreed to do the testing Mayweather wanted him to do,
Right,
and they fought, it wasn't even a close fight.
right.
Yeah.
But look, let me turn to our fitness guru. I mean, it's possible, right? The man could be in shape.
I mean, people think I'm on roids all the time.
That's because you are. I seen you shooting your
I'm in
ass
the
up.
best shape of my life at this
Yeah, they
point.
thought I was on roids this morning when I was giving them the bit. He was like, "Man, is that the sea moss? I mean, you always active, but today you was on some."
But I will say that you can't ever put it past sports because they're always changing the rules. So
Right.
could he have taken something that could be illegal? I'm sure, and especially if they're not testing for it. And since they change the rules so often, a lot of times these guys take things that becomes illegal, and they don't know what they're taking all the time. Sometimes their trainer may give them something, but if it's me personally, I'm only giving you plants, and that's what's going to get you
Thurman
better than ever. Shout
Thurman
out to
knocked
Plants.
out majority of his fighters that are people that he fought. And for Pacquiao to just, like, the way he came in there, I think you guys need to, if you haven't seen that fight,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it for
please
sure.
go
And what's his
Yeah.
first name? Thurman? Because
Keith
I'm
Thurman.
in the field. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was
Third
perfect
me and Ray
timing.
watched that fight
You know,
together,
Yeah.
and we was
Yeah.
blown away,
Yeah.
like, looking at Pacquiao, like, He got to be on the roids.
He also
no
picked.
way.
He also picked Keith Thurman at the right time. Keith Thurman just came off a 2-year layoff and came back to a fight versus Josecito Lopez, who me and Jammers also watched and didn't look good.
Yeah.
So him selecting a guy that didn't look good, Keith Thurman couldn't turn it down because of the money involved in fighting Manny Pacquiao. Their fight was actually Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao's fight was in Vegas. Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia sold out Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Right.
So, I mean, he's from Dallas. There's a lot of superstars in the sport, but man, right now boxing is at an all-time high for me.
Look, last sports thing before we move on to our main topic. Your boy Kawhi went to the Rams game today and got booed.
Oh man,
Kawhi not.
Baker Ganger don't bang.
And that's all we're gonna say about that. Look, so Jemele wrote this article that said, "Is it time for black athletes to leave predominantly white schools?" And you can find that article online and read it yourself. But there was a lot of talk about numbers. And let me get into the numbers real quick, where the NCAA reported $1.1 billion in revenue for its 2017 fiscal year, and most of that money came from Division I men's basketball tournament.
Give me that whistle, Ray.
And then we talk about the deals that they do with television, $8.8 billion deal with CBS and Turner. So a lot of that is generated by the black athlete.
Damn.
So, because when you look at it, 55% of football players are in these major conferences that they're talking about, and 50% of the athletes in these Division I conferences that she was talking about in the article play basketball. So when you look at it from a standpoint of where the money is and how these schools are making the money, she kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I want to point out that a lot. The reason I said that it was to point out that it's much more than a lot. It's like the vast majority.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Right.
Like college football teams have like 100 people on them.
Right.
And it'll be 50 white dudes at the end of the bench. And now they're like, only 55%. But if we talk about the
players.
snaps played in NFL or in NCAA football,
Probably
or
an 80,
minutes on the court in
80%
NCAA basketball,
Right.
it would be way more than that 55%. So I'm saying the vast majority is generated by black athletes.
Right. And
Descendants of American slaves.
she's been taking a lot of heat
and Cuban slaves.
in this article. Basically, people calling her racist. And all she's saying is, hey, we need to look out for our communities.
Period.
And so I wanted to throw this out to you guys, especially because the majority of you all at this table went to HBCUs.
Yes, we did.
So the question that I have for you HBCU alums and sports athletes. Wait, Ray, did you play at an HBCU or at a predominantly white? Okay.
Yes, I did. I went to both.
Oh, this is a perfect discussion
Went
for
to
you
both.
then.
Yeah.
So let me start with you. The facilities
Right.
at the predominantly white school you went to versus the HBCU. Is there a difference in the facilities? Could you tell that? I mean, why would...
I'm kind of ashamed to even compare and contrast.
Homecoming in a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
you're right. Hey,
Keep it a
listen.
rack. Come on, Ray.
Speaking of that,
Hey,
I
we not for sale.
got a fundraiser coming up. You guys can get it on the We Not For Sale Instagram page, man. Donate to the 40 Under 40 Society fundraiser I got going. Please bless me, man. Bless me. Doing good things with the money. But look,
When Nick Saban shows up at your door
right.
and say, I want you at Alabama,
Right.
versus, I can't even say who
Whoever
a coach
Hampton's
is,
coach is.
show up at your door.
Right.
There's a difference.
Well, the difference supposedly is in skill set. So any college athlete or any high school athlete that's being recruited in terms of being one of the best athletes in the country is not going to even consider a black college in terms of the height of recruitment because of, number one, facilities, and also, most importantly, exposure. Jemele Hill, she was talking about basketball, which is interesting, and she brought up a point that really correlates to these athletes going to these colleges and really being individually great. In football, it's a team effort. And I feel like, what she didn't mention is football is the highest revenue bringing in sport in all of college sports. even more so than basketball because of the stadium sizes. So if you can imagine selling out the Rose Bowl versus selling out, Poly Pavilion, you're looking at pretty much, I think, 40,000 seat difference.
At least.
So,
the Poly Pavilion, we talking like 75.
Yeah, maybe something crazy. But at the end of the day, facilities, like you said, MK, they're night and day, man. When I first got to Hampton University, though Hampton has a very nice facility compared to most black colleges, it was nothing compared to my other experiences, man. Equipment, nothing compared to our other experience. Jerseys, sometimes washing your own shit. I mean, we it was a family atmosphere, and even though we had it pretty good, we did fly private to every game, and we went to a lot of classics. Our band was popping, one of the best in the nation. We had some experiences that you don't get at major colleges, but in terms of facilities and and things like that, nah, it's night and day.
So the thing goes on to say, aside from the facilities, and I think what she was pointing at is at some point we have to change the narrative. Sometimes we have to be brave. And like you said, the exposure and the money, if they start to go to these different schools,
it will come.
Then that's where the money is going to go. That's where the networks are going to go.
Right.
So when do we sacrifice that?
Now, I think it's about time. And I do think it has to be in basketball, right? Because to do it in football, to get one solid HBCU team in football, you need at least 35 guys who are top-tier athletes. Whereas for basketball, you can get 5. And you can go to the tournament and at least go to the finals with 5. We saw that with Michigan. And then wherever that Fab 5 went, they were going to go to the NCAA finals.
Right.
Period. And that's why I think we do have to start with basketball. And I think the time is right now. And it really starts with those parents, because when I was trying to recruit, just tell some parents about Hampton University, they laughing, like literally like, there ain't no way we doing that. But then you send your kid to like Iowa State, right? Because they're in some kind of big conference. But then when it comes down to it, Hampton had a NCAA win more recently than a lot of these big conference schools. And they don't even consider that. But it is the facilities, it is the exposure. But wherever, had LeBron James went to college, wherever he went to college, being that his high school games were nationally televised, they're going to be nationally televised. And that's what we have to understand. Those athletes are the power. They are the draw.
So my question is, does it matter if, we not for sale? Does it matter if it's a black college that's selling an athlete, or does it matter if it's a white college selling an athlete?
Oh, that's a powerful question, brother. Very powerful. And I'm going to tell you why. If it all funnels into the NBA or NFL, it goes back to what my brother Jamer said. What are we doing?
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? So that is a very powerful question, man.
Yes, it matters is the answer.
I believe that it does matter, just like Jai said, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the influence on our communities can be greater. And if there is a less of two evils, then you should select it. In this circumstance, not in a spiritual circumstance, 'cause I know how your little light-skinned ass mind thinks.
I'm Jay Wesley Snipes, by the way.
All right, but at the end of the day, yeah, man. I mean, when Prairie View A&M made $18 million compared to other schools making $174 million, I think Alabama is what the article said, right, MK? God.
You can only imagine how much they make.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, because now for those of you who've never been to Alabama, okay, the whole town,
everything,
they wear all the college, like grown people. Yeah. Like it's people in our family that just are. They don't have a football team, so that's just it. Like that is everything for that town.
Right.
Yeah. So you can just only imagine like how much that school is banking off of the off of the clothes, the
Right.
tickets.
Absolutely.
Just apparel revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really revenue generated. I mean, you gotta think about this. Like when you have these schools, you have one institution generating $100 million,
Right.
and then you have the whole HBCU conference
Right.
at most probably $18 million generating about 18 million. That's a big gap.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think Jemele Hill was absolutely right for what she said. Don't get me wrong, but it was a little kind of like unrealistic because we're like kind of late to the party. Like James said, you got people that has invested a fan base.
Wow.
You it's not just athletes. You telling a fan base to start supporting, Black colleges.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, when I look at it, I'm thinking like, man, you can in the short term, you can have, okay, I got 5 athletes going there, and I'm not talking about black athletes leaving, where they're at. I'm talking about people out of high school,
Right.
Because they're not going to these high schools. I didn't know about Hampton from my high school career center,
Right.
You know what I mean? I went there from my father doing, his research and him putting us up again. Like, let's go to high school day. So that's where I found out about Hampton. Then I met this little nigga Jai, and what I'm saying, he gave me a tour, and I was in love with all the ladies. That's another whole story. But well, what I'm just saying is, you got to get exposure. Like I don't know if y'all watched First Take. First Take was actually at Delaware State.
Yeah, Magic Johnson, yeah.
Magic Johnson, yeah. He was one of the
Stephen A.
Stephen A. So that was big on Delaware State campus, where they had $2 million giving scholarships on the spot to kids. And these 4,000 students, that was invited to this conference.
Right.
And you got battle of other bands. That type of exposure, I think, will make it a long-term thing. And then you can have like the NBA have preseason games there, at a black college.
Right.
Because then the kids will get like inquisitive, and they start asking questions like, wow, and you know what I'm saying? Then you can have All-Star Weekend at a black college. Why not, do that? I mean, it's
a great
steps.
idea.
It's a steps we can take there.
Well, we do have
but
CIAA.
I don't think it's something it's going to take a while, though, because right now we're a little late to the party. I mean, that huge gap in revenue, I don't see it.
But also, Ray, when you look at it, is there also the money aspect of what the black college can offer as far as scholarships and money?
Absolutely. I mean, working in admissions changed my whole perspective in terms of what bringing in the student is all about. My brother to my right, Jai, is the president pretty much of recruitment for the state of California. And as a admissions officer, I work closely with him to identify students who are capable of getting certain scholarships. And unfortunately, it was very limited. Not only is a black college, especially Hampton University, the finest black college in the HBCU world, tough to get into academically, but it's also, it's very expensive. So
Private school.
private school, I mean, so it's not just accessible to any student. So those things have to be factored in as well.
And geography has to be factored in. Like, there's some people that's just not leaving California, and there's no HBCU option for them.
Compton College.
Well, that it is technically a HBCU, technically. But still, the whole western region of the United States, and even the north, like if you want to stay at home in Illinois or Michigan, there still is not a black college option for you. So and on top of that, my tax dollars are paying for UCLA. So I do want some black people to get a little bit of something from it. But I think it's just the mindset. It's not even on the thoughts of these athletes. They're not when the ABCD camps and all the basketball camps for the AAU. They're not. It's not. Nobody's saying, "Hey, man, let's go to Hampton. Let's go to Howard." Yeah. And especially Howard, because their basketball gym is like a high school.
Until you get kicked out, or until it's required, and then you need a savior, which is where the transfer system has been so big for black college, including myself,
But do you think it has a lot to do with how these black colleges, they're not, technically they're not promoted well. Goes back to what Wes said. Like Wes said he never knew, he didn't know anything about a black college.
Don't have a budget.
Until his dad. But I mean, it's just crazy because I'll be honest with you, I never knew about a black college until Wes went there. And then when he told me that, I still thought it was a joke.
That's a very West Coast mentality.
Like straight up.
And here's how I've learned about basically, what is it, the Bayou Classic that comes on NBC every year. But I was watching that shit more for the Battle of the Bands.
Right.
Not really for the sports.
Right.
Right. I think that when Jamers has a good point, and when you talk about promoted well, what is the biggest form of promotion is sports, and that's like one of the huge, attention grabbers for someone who is deciding to, whether or not they go to college. And majority of people make their decisions. Majority of high school graduates make their decisions based on which school is going to give me a good education, and also is maybe a party school or may just have a fun social atmosphere. And I think when you talk about cracking the code into what allows us to spend dollars, and I think that it's been mastered, and you can't knock the hustle of a college, because college is a business too, and I always look at it like, all right, cool. They've decided to target out specific people who have GPAs, and maybe they go to different countries and promote their college to them. And for example, like a private college out here, USC, or a Pepperdine, or a Loyola Marymount, or a Stanford, like they're targeting a specific demographic of people. If you take AP classes, or if you have a certain GPA, you're definitely gonna make sure that your child applies to one of these schools, and hopefully is accepted.
Right.
Now, at the end of the day, it shouldn't really. Should that be the angle for black colleges? And I don't think black colleges were intended to actually have those type of those requirements for the people who attend black college. And I think that's what makes black colleges special in its own right, is that you don't have to have a 4.5 GPA to attend there, and you can go there and get a great quality education and meet great people and create a great network. I didn't go to a black college, but I spent a lot of time on Hampton's campus.
Too much time.
And I enjoyed myself,
I was sick of seeing him up there.
I think that when you talk about what are we doing, is it even necessary for a black college to try to compete on that level?
Right.
I think we got to ask ourselves that question, because at the end of the day, we can generate a movement, regardless of how much money we're making, compared to them, because we already know that the angle is simply generated by us providing entertainment for them, which is football or basketball or whatnot. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, like, are we creating good people? Because I know a lot of people that did go to the people who did go to UCLA or who did go to these colleges, that they play a professional sport, and then guess what? They end up, falling off in life. So I think that's what's important to the point.
And something I think that's very important in this discussion is the history of segregation disallowed the Hamptons, the Howards, the North Carolina A&Ts to build championship traditions. That is the reason why people are so deeply rooted in Alabama football. Like, it's crazy to me, in my mind, black people just so deeply rooted in Alabama football, and they ain't even let y'all niggas into school. But today, it's like, it's deep. Even on the West Coast, you got people talking about Roll Tide, and it's deeply rooted. But let Alabama play North Carolina A&T in 1950, and A&T would have whooped that ass. And had they been able to compete in those NCAA tournaments or in those bowl games, we would have been able to build those traditions to where right now the facilities would have been able to be on par because of the revenue it would have generated. The same way as the Negro leagues, when they played the majors, they was whooping their ass.
Right.
And so that's a big part of this. And that's not to say white athletes are just totally incapable, because there's a lot of good schools and a lot of good white athletes. But I even think they probably would have been at the black schools right now had it happened that way, or if we just stayed segregated and the integration was not the school but just the competition.
Right.
Then we would have seen something happen.
I think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, but I think one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL, the great Jerry Rice, went to an HBCU.
Yes, he did.
Alcorn State, I believe.
Mississippi State. Yeah.
So I mean, there's
Terrell
obviously
Owens
something to be
and
said for
Marshall Grace.
now. I don't know what his talent level was coming out of high school, going into college, and he obviously blossomed into one of the greatest wide receivers we've ever known. But Wes, if you had to sell someone on going to an HBCU, and damn, I hope you can put that picture up. You posted it in the group chat this week because. Yeah, you looked amazing. You look like Drew Down.
Man, I was lost. I'm like, what I seen in the group text?
No, that picture of you back in the day, brother.
About something else.
Yo, what was your experience like, man, at an HBCU?
I mean, my experience was, don't make no mistake about it. I thank God that I was at Hampton University and experienced that Black college experience. I mean, you got people who really coming from different backgrounds and people who suffer from, different oppression and, and come from similar minority communities. So I met people from Harlem. I met people, from Baltimore. I met people who, from all these different places and all these different, and who had the same struggle as me. But when you're at Hampton, it's kind of like, I felt like I formed a brotherhood, and I feel like I was looked out for. And when I talked to a lot of my peers who went to white colleges, or, universities like UCLA or USC, there always was a moment where they felt, inferior, or they got discriminated against, and they felt like they wasn't, taken care of when it came to someone having their back.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest things from Hampton that I got. I felt like, I had professors looking out for me. I coaches looking out for me. I had, my peers looking out for me. And I really just experienced something that I know that I wouldn't experience no other, as far as the battle of the bands, the beautiful people, beautiful women. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing. And I picked a major, like computer science, where, I challenged myself because I like creating. But yeah, it was just I would just sell the fact that you're going somewhere where people have your back,
right?
And you can form that brotherhood, and it'll linger on until your professional life.
Hollywood, this is what I want to know from you, because, when my son was looking for colleges, obviously, he looked at Hampton and things like that, but I was just too scared to send him all the way across the country. But like coming from the Bay, being a West Coast guy, what was it like? What got you to go to Hampton? And let me just say, this is a disclaimer. Hampton did not give us any money for this conversation.
For sure.
Back to you.
But back to me. Well, that's a funny thing. Like, I actually did a year at the Art Academy in San Francisco before I went to Hampton University. And I always think back, like, had I stayed back at the Academy, I probably would have been a little further along in my, field of in the, as far as like being a television producer or camera guy, whatever. But I will say, coming from Oakland, coming from the West Coast where we don't have any Black colleges, it was a sight to see, because like I know I've had these conversations with Jamers, like once you see so many Black people in one spot, it's almost like, okay, when the fight gonna break out, or when the shooting gonna begin.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, when I got to Hampton and seen so many brothers and sisters from so many other places, but on one accord to, for the most part,
Unity.
practice this professionalism and seeking higher learning.
Exactly.
Like, I was in awe. Like, I remember like eating in the cafeteria, calling my homeboys back home, like, bro, you wouldn't believe, like, it's all these Black people and everybody getting along, and people saying, do you want to go to the library and study by the pond and stuff like that? And it was like some shit I've never seen, and it blew my mind. I felt so fortunate to be there, to even change my own viewing of that, because I like I said, like more in Oakland, when we used to go to these things called Black Fridays, Black Saturdays, those things would always end up getting shot up and everything. So it's like seeing this like really blew my mind, and I thank God for that experience. So if I was to sell anything, it's just to expand your own horizon on your own people. You know what I'm saying? By going to a Black college such as Hampton University.
Now, I want to ask, Ray J And Chris, is this something you're gonna use, your platform for your kids or people in your family? Because I think it's on us to actually spread, all these important things and experience that we shared at Hampton to our loved ones, and that's how it starts too.
Well, yeah, and to be clear, yes, we are, and yes, we do. We're not like gonna start. This is what we do.
Yeah,
I'm always calling y'all
all of you guys.
Come to this college fair and that.
I know you do, Mr. HU.
It's straight just about sharing that story. Like when you talk to a person, a California black person that's like never left and doesn't understand why people would ever leave California, and then you tell them, man, every day, Monday, Saturday through Sunday. It's or Saturday through Friday, it's a black president, it's a black janitor, and everybody in between. It's about 7,000 black people, and like 7,000 people, and like 90% of them are black people, and it works. It's a well-oiled machine. It's running. You could see it in their mind, like processing. Like I cannot imagine that because we have no examples. We have mega churches, and that's about it. We got some big black public high schools, but that's about it. And oftentimes they'll have like a white principal or administrators or whatnot. Not that black colleges don't, but it's just something having, I think the word Ray or Jay and Chris were looking for was that institutional support. Like that's what we have, a whole institution behind us, and the way that makes you feel is just an amazing feeling. So yes, we are spreading that message as far and wide as possible.
But I want to back up to something Hollywood said, and I need clarification because maybe I missed it. What was the thing you said about you would be further along in your career if you...
Oh, well, at the Art Academy, just because they had more courses kind of, identified with like, filming with an actual camera or practicing editing software or, more, courses and resources towards what I wanted to do in TV. When I went to Hampton, my major got translated into like doing more theater work and theatrical stuff. So I was more so, screenwriting, stage manager, prop building, putting on plays when I more so wanted to, shoot scenes with a camera and stuff like that. So in that regard, I feel like I'll be in a little bit more further along. Yeah. But we're going with that art school. It was cool and everything, but it wasn't my vibe. A lot of our kids is into drugs. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't really my thing like that. I'm talking about I learned what opium was, coke. I knew what coke was, but I just saw people really like doing it in front of you. Just at parties regularly, but I just knew that really wasn't my steez, and I was just like, I could drink a little something, smoke a little weed, and I really want to be amongst my folks and my people. Right. And I felt like I was
smoke weed and drink at Hampton.
Yeah. You could do that anywhere, but I'm just saying, like I was going for a different experience, and then even growing up, seeing television shows like A Different World or seeing movies like School Days, and just seeing like how unique that experience like looked, and how I just wanted to be a part of that. Like I like I said, I was very gracious that I got to experience that and would recommend it to anybody.
But it feels like you wouldn't exchange the experience of the school for what you didn't get.
Absolutely. I would not. I would not trade it.
I feel like you're richer in character because of your experience.
Absolutely. Because I'm not sure. I hate to say it, man, because like like I said, growing up in Oakland, like a lot of my homeboys, for one reason or another, they hit some hardships. Right. But going to Hampton brought me around all these brothers that I'm surrounded by this table right here, and almost gave me like another lease of, friendships that just, were here to kind of like, better me, like cause me to step it up, and we inspire each other. So, and with that alone, I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Yeah, it's big to me, having the idea of what we did at school and what we were able to accomplish. I'm a 2-time national champion, as well as had a great academic career at Hampton. But I was able to, like Hollywood said, meet these brothers that inspired me and really pushed me along the way in life. You know, brothers that I counted on, man, to really encourage me and build my character. And I was able to see, you know, brothers that didn't come to the school and bring them along with me. And that's why I want to kind of push it to Jamers, because he heard so much about Hampton, and then he finally was able to come and check it out for his own eyes and witness the pictures and the people and the atmosphere. And I just wonder, you know, what that's like for you. How was it, man, when you got a chance to actually get out there and see what we were talking about?
You know what? It was a beautiful thing, man, and I'm very I really appreciate it, because this, at the end of the day, this all started from Wes. You know, Wes, he's always been pushing Hampton and telling me about the school, and so Jason and Jai is you know, a person that always pushes Hampton. You know, it's like you guys got so much pride, man. It kind of like, it made me look at my life and was like, damn, I really wish I would have got the traditional, you know, like, because I kind of live like my traditional college experience, like through you guys. You know what I'm saying? So like, when it came down to my little cousin Mason wanting to go to school, I pushed the Hampton to him hard too, because I'm like, hey, I don't know what you're going to do, but these niggas told me this is it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you better get up in there, and whatever they're going to do, this, you know, and my experience with the homecoming was like, golly, man, I've never seen, like Hollywood said, I've never seen so many of your own people like it. I was scared, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. I was
waiting for something to pop
You
off.
goddamn right. I'm thinking like what corner I'm gonna go to.
You good? You good?
Oh, I heard that so many times. I didn't. But
hey, son, you good, son?
To just piggyback off of that, man. Like, you guys have so much pride with the school, man, and technically, it's gonna be people like you guys that are gonna make people or other athletes actually want to go there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it starts with all of us and people like you that have had that experience.
Right.
And with someone like Jai being a recruiter, I think, give it some time. I think it's gonna be this group of people to be able to do that.
What about you, Jason, in terms of, real quick, you coming, which was a shock, you know, from Northridge to Hampton quite often.
Right.
The love you received, you know, was despicable.
Well, I did.
And you know, it was amazing to watch Jason come to the school and interact.
Them videos.
So what do you think, man? To have to go back to
I'm just glad social media wasn't around back then. No, but honestly, you know, I did my last 2 years at Northridge. Northridge was actually pretty diverse. But my first 2 years I did at Marymount College in Palos Verdes, and I did a year at Chapman University, which is in Orange County. And while I was at those schools, I got different experiences from them all. I felt like I had 4 college experiences because I went to Hampton quite frequent. But I just personally grabbed something from everything. I learned that there was times in college I felt very alone, and I would call Josh. And I think me and my brother got really tight when I was in college, during my college years, than we had ever been. Mm-hmm. And I think that what you guys are speaking on, like just having those individuals around to embrace you, because being probably the only black kid from Compton with cornrows at Chapman University, is all white campus, very racial tension town. They still have Klan rallies there today. And every black person I've ever known that ever gone on that campus has the same experience. It was only literally probably like me and another cat that was from South Central, my boy Joe. And we both had the similar experiences. And at that point in my life, I hadn't felt more less supported, if that makes sense. I was like, yo, I have zero support on campus. Like, if I get into something, I just holler at Joe. You know, I'll call my brother who's across country, or I might have to go to my pops. You know what I'm saying? Like, or just go, so
nigga, you knew where to come.
Yeah. Or I can go, you know what I'm saying, to the neighborhood. But I felt like there was man, just having that support, the difference is by far different. So if any kid does get an opportunity to play a sport at a black college, their whole scope of life will change, and I believe that they will end up being a great person in life, because you can always make money. I mean, Chris said he missed those years at art school, which probably would have got him more into his profession earlier. But I mean, man, money is secondary. You can always make money, but it's really rare. It's rare that you will get around great individuals that keep you supported, throughout life. And that's something that I value more than money any day.
Well, you can't buy that experience at all. That's for sure.
And I think I'm gonna take the busted minute this week, because what I want to say is, this is right here, what we're talking about is what the haters are hating on Jemele for. Because what you're hearing is solidarity, what you're hearing is unity, what you're hearing is pride in being black. And that's what you're gonna get at a black university. You're gonna get that. I didn't go to a black university, but like my cousin over here, I wish I would have. Because what you guys are talking about is pride in yourselves, pride in the community. And that's all she's trying to point out, but it goes back to being distracted. People are distracting from what the real issue is. And the real issue is she's bringing pride to this community.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So people, don't be fooled. You can do what you want to do in life, but if you want to be enhanced and enriched personally, think about the black university.
Think about it.
Shout out to
HU homecoming. We coming, baby.
Especially if
40
you're
under
black.
40.
40 under 40.
Listen,
man. Donate right
the
now.
ratio gonna be 20
man.
to 1, man.
Hey,
At the end of the day, validation is for parking, and we are what?
Not
For sale.
Hey, man, we'll see y'all soon.